Thank you, sir. So, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to come before you and share some of my experiences regarding COVID 19 as a media person. So, I come from India, as you know, I'm from Delhi. I work for an organization called Pick Story, which is a social media app which is aimed at fighting misinformation and building a positive narrative and non linear narrative around issues. So, I will start by sharing some of my experiences with regard to the role of media in covering COVID 19 in South Asia from an Indian perspective, because I am based out of India. So, I will make very brief remarks. I will make only 4 or 5 points so that I end within my stipulated time of 7 minutes. And I also make a proposal on recording the COVID experiences of us together. So, number one, my point is this: when I look back at the COVID incidents in a country like India, which is, as you know, is a huge country with 1 billion plus population, so it was a very testing time for a country like India. Everything went out of control, things spiraled out of control because nobody expected something like this would happen in a second wave in a country like India. So our health system and our infrastructure were under immense strain. People were running in some part of the country from here to there. So everything was in a mess, as you would have seen, and also we have lost a long lot of journalists in this fight. So various estimates put that in India we have lost around more than 250 journalists due to this pandemic. Most of them got infected while covering this pandemic and bringing to light what is happening in different parts of the country. So when I look back as those days of covering COVID as a media personnel or as a social media platform runner, so my first experience is this. Number one, why some of us got it completely wrong, or some of us were unable to bring to light what was happening in real time, is also certain things which we journalists are responsible for. So why I say this? So number one point is that, look, nobody would have imagined a pandemic of this proportion would have hit a health infrastructure like this, but we could have anticipated something of this happening to a health infrastructure which has not been updated for some time in our countries, respective countries, whether whichever country we come from. So the point is that our coverage in mass media, for a sector like public health, has been minimal, because in the changing times, because as you know, most of the newspapers are owned by corporates and there are various interests at play, and also governmental control, because government control is something which we as journalists have to expect, because we as independent journalists don't expect any government giving us absolutely a free run or complete freedom. But the point is that systematically, as media in most part of South Asia, we neglected covering public health. So suddenly when something of this was in the making, we lost it. So the point is that the way our administration or government failed to update the medical system or health infrastructure, we as journalists also failed to bring to light what was happening in the area of medical infrastructure. So that is point number one. Second, the COVID, as a media person, when I look back what happened in India, the thing is that as a media, we also failed in disseminating information in real time. Why I say this so? Because as you know, when we all started off, like at least people like me who has some 2 decades of experience in this field, when we started off, it was like this: newspapers used to chase what television was telling you. Now things is such a way that television or newspapers are following what social media is telling. People post on Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram, whatever you call it, information is floating around. So when it happened during the COVID, so we realized there was a plethora of information. There is a surfeit of information. Most of them are not accurate information, but information were floating around. Nobody knew what to do with them. For example, in a city like Delhi, when things were pretty bad in our place, so you used to get a lot of information saying oxygen cylinder is available at this particular number. By the time somebody in desperation reaches out to that particular number, oxygen cylinders have run out. So the point is that since no control was there on sending the information, so there was no process of authenticating this information, or somebody actually checking whether these things that are put out on the website or social media are true or not. So one experience which I have or we done at Big Story is that, like, you give a dedicated 2 or 4 people and ask them to verify this. So some media houses also try to do this, and some individuals have to come up with this verification thing. I think this is one of the lessons which we learned from covering COVID in India, is that you need accurate, real-time, verified information. There are problems are two here. Number one, the people, most of the people who put out this information are not deliberately putting out an information which is turning out to be wrong. The point is that when they put out that information, let's say at 10 a.m. in the morning, there were oxygen cylinders that were available. By the time I reached out to these people as a person who need oxygen cylinders around 2 o'clock, oxygen cylinders have naturally run out. That is not the problem of the messenger in most cases. But the problem was also, like, nobody was tracking the information on a in a proper manner. That is number one. Number two, some of this information were put out by black marketeers, like you were leading to a garden path where somebody were telling you, charging you for an oxygen cylinder 5 times their actual worth, etc. So the thing is that as a media professional, we could have had better ways to process this information real time. The problem with technology is that it's very fast. So some of us who think, like including me, that we are print media journalists or we are from television, but the thing is that information is no longer controlled by journalists in disseminating information. Journalists don't control information because we are not creators of information. So we are disseminators of information. But the problem again here is that we are not the only one who is out disseminating information. There are so many people who are putting out information. So information, as I said in the beginning, so there is a surfeit of information. So our role as a media professional during the pandemic again was that this is how we process information real time. So that was our second challenge. That is something as a journalist which I came across in India, that this was a great opportunity for a media professional to understand how to process information to help others. So that is number two lessons I would like to tell all of you. Number three is that when a pandemic of this sort, it's like a once in a century kind of a pandemic happens. So there has to be a coordinated effort from all sides. So the problem with that is that we need to have information that is shareable. We have to record information that is like our lived experience, what people have done. So I think that is one initiative we as journalists collectively should do. So we just have to record the experiences of people. This is how X helped Y. This is how NGOs came together. This is how the government response was, or the lack of government response was, or this is a particular small solar initiative at the grassroots level took place. We need highlight that. For my experience is that, for example, something happens in Sri Lanka will have a great significance for India, or if something happens in India, it can have a similar significance in Bangladesh or Maldives or Pakistan. So the thing is that we all are so interconnected. Our experiences are so interconnected. This pandemic has taught that, like, when a pandemic like this happens, there is no divide of culture, no divide of ethnicity, no divide of nation state. Even some of the best countries we consider best in terms of economic powers or technological advancement, etc., they could not cope up with this. So the point again I'm trying to say is that that number last point, that when we look back at the pandemic, what we have learned or the role of media is this: media should again realign itself as a place where experience can be brought together, where innovations can be brought together, where people can be made to prepare for something like in this future. In this context, I would like to take my last minute to say that I have proposed this to this group of journalists and others, especially MCA, that we can do something together with Big Story on recording the experiences of people who work with COVID. They can be advocates, they can be activists, they can be actually people who went and helped somebody who made difference to others. So let us come together and record this for posterity. That is my suggestion. I don't want to take much time on that. Whatever uh, which I have in mind about recording these experiences, that you can join Pick Story and tell our stories. Then nature later we can coordinate in such a way that we take this initiative forward, so that this experience is shared across geographies and even to other countries. and journalists learn and journalists disseminate and journalists share their experiences. That is my idea. For the time being, I'm sharing a couple of things on the chat about the big story so that you can all have it, take a look and download and tell your stories about the COVID virus. Basically, you can go and search on COVID virus, which is about people talking about COVID experiences. So let us build one together for entire South Asia so that will help us spread the awareness in a better way. Also, honor the people who risk their lives or who did a lot for others in this time of crisis. Here I end my presentation. Thank you.